sick and tired of fucking assholes and criminals and oppressors. I think oppressors are what calls everybody else. The oppressors are assholes. Everybody's got to do what the fuck the oppressors say. Why are you standing like that? Why are you being such a fucking Nazi all fucking day? Chill out and enjoy people's company. Oh, no, you just want power over everybody? That's why you're such an overly fucking serious asshole? And then criminals, man, they don't give a shit about anybody else either, right? They can hurt people. Oppressors can boss them around. They're both destroying humanity. Fuck the assholes, fuck the criminals, and fuck the oppressors. For 100 solar trees, that costs $4.5 million for 100 solar trees. For $1 million, we can get 5 contour crafting machines, and then those can churn out $10,000 houses, so 3,000 houses would be $30 million. And then we could get 3 waste-to-energy plants, just like they got in Grand Junction, for $9 million. And then that's the $44.5 million. And you know what? Let's go ahead and throw another $1 million on it to rehab the jail. So we could rehab the jail. We could solve the homelessness problem. We can invest in a business with returns, plus solving our trash situation, helping with our electric problems, and get some solar trees strewn about. We could do that, or we could just buy 1 jail and then spend $269.5 million more. To make a couple, just not a correction, but an addition with Josh Bruns. I was sitting there saying how pleasantly surprised that I was with Ed Brown. Still vote for Josh Bruns. I just felt like that was clear, but maybe if you only saw that one video, you might be like, well, hell, Ed Brown's great. Ed Brown had some, surprising views, and, I like that I talked to him because I found a lot of things out that I didn't know about him. He was in favor of Wi-Fi. Ed Brown wants municipal Wi-Fi. So some of these candidates said maybe he's definitely going to get us municipal Wi-Fi. Josh Bruns is going to get us municipal Wi-Fi too, so he's definitely in favor of that also. Ed Brown was for trash incineration. He's for trash incinerators. So he's for Wi-Fi, he's for trash incinerators. He's almost seems like he's for decriminalization for like a Portugal model. And then the other thing that I liked was that he was considered a municipal electric company. So it's an option, a municipal electric company. Quick, correct the record. The number 1 candidate I'm going to vote for school board is Kenny O'Neill because he guarantees me a freedom and democracy education. He guarantees me that. Taylor Voss seems like he's right there, so I feel like he's for discoveries, for empowerment. He thinks experience is the only kind, or the main teacher, the best teacher is experience. So he's got this Einstein philosophy. But number 1, Kenny O'Neill, then Taylor Voss, then Dennis Mays, then Dottie Calhoun, then Margaret Wright. That would be how I ranked it before I said Taylor Voss over Kenny O'Neill, because I was actually trying to rank the bottom candidates and not the top 2. They were pretty much, neck and neck. And so I do barely think that Kenny O'Neill is better than Taylor Voss, but they're 2 very, very good candidates, and I think they would do an incredible job as a school board. They're also, you don't get paid. You don't get paid, so it's almost a volunteer position, but they do control $110 million. There's ideas to Josh Bruns. He's in favor of trash incinerators. He's in favor of Wi-Fi. He's in favor, he's against the war on drugs completely, so there's no doubt in my mind. When it comes to the municipal electricity, he's all for municipal electric company and for, a bunch of co-ops too. So I think he's the same on Ed Brown on all those issues, only better. And then the homeless shelter, Ed Brown wasn't for a homeless shelter. He thought that Posada was doing a great job, right? Homeless people all over the fucking city, but Posada's doing a great job. And Josh Bruns, not only is he going to build a homeless shelter, he's going to build, 3,000 homeless shelters called homes, and he's going to home the homeless, right? They have no homes. Let's get them some homes. So Josh Bruns' homeless shelter policy is bar none way better. And when it comes to Petco, I would trust what Josh Bruns does with Petco better than Ed Brown. I think Ed Brown has listened to these lawyers, so he feels restricted. If that's the case, we need to make it unrestricted. I mentioned this before, but all the school board candidates should be given a round of applause because it's free. They're not going to get paid a single penny. And I think really school board and the city council, they should get some money for their work so that way they'll take their work serious. You need a job, so that means if you become a school board member and you're unemployed, now you got to go find a job, right? So instead of doing it like that, just if you paid them, then they could dedicate all their time into, leading the school the best of their ability. But even though they don't get paid any money, they will have access and control over the budget, and the budget's $115 million, $130 million, over $100 million. So some of the numbers, I thought that the budget of Pueblo City was $81 million. That's what his budget analysis, Sam Azad said. But I guess it's an operating budget. And then Pedco, was it even included? I heard it had $60 million. So how can it have $60 million and then our budget is $81 million? And then when it comes to the $1 million figure, comes from Sam Azad, and then he's got this little pie chart. Essentially, most of it goes to the police, and then the other part goes to, I don't know, maybe the fire department, and then the other part goes to public works, but a very small percentage goes to public works. So people that say they're in favor of public works, but then they're against the street repair tax, it's like, are you for public works? So anyways, there's $81 million in the budget. City actually has the least amount of money. Supposedly there's $60 million in Pedco, so that should be accessible to the public. I don't know why it's not. Then there's, the D70 and D60 schools. They have $110, $130 million budget. And then the county has $170 million. The county has over twice the amount of the budget as Pueblo City does. And it's the county asking the city for their fucking, money for the damn jail. They only got 1% tax out there. We got 7% tax because we got to pay a county tax and a city tax. And now the county wants to throw us in fucking jail. Our education system, the reason why people are the way that they are, if you don't know how to convince people to do what you want and then you don't respect other people's humanity, you just do what I say or else I'll hurt you, that's a horrible lesson to learn. You'll survive, you'll get power, and we all have a will to power, but the bullied, the people who get bullied, who say, shut up, sit down, and they always did what they were told, they're going to have a lot of issues. And so I think teachers and administrators who make kids so stupid and compliant that they can't even make any decisions by themselves, they're fucking criminal. They're bad humans. They're bad people. They've been oppressing people for quite some time. 80 to 90% of the school system is women. So talk about white women. There's lots of things that white women have done very good. But since it's like they're above reproach, it's like, wait a second, you're not supposed to criticize white women. Susan Smith drowned her kids, right? That woman in Pueblo West took a gun and shot her kids several times. Question 300 is going to generate $35 million over the span of 5 years. $35 million. You know what we could have done with $35 million? We could have solved homelessness for $31 million. $31 million cures our homelessness problem. If we're being serious, if we actually give a shit. And also with the homeless junkies, that's a public health crisis. That's going to spread STDs and HIV. What the Swiss did is they had needle exchange programs, and they had a medical professional looking over this bullshit. So that way people, you want to reduce the harm. That's what we need to do. We're not going to fucking solve this shit by going after the drugs that hasn't worked. So what we need to do is a public health issue, and we need to reduce all the harm that we can. So what are we going to do? Reduce the harm. So $35 million could have gone for a treatment center, could have gone for housing. We would have solved homelessness for $31 million. 100 solar trees is $4.5 million. Waste to energy plants cost $9 million. For $1 million, we could have rehabbed the jail. So do you want to rehab the jail, or do you want to spend $35 million on a bunch of cops who's going to do an Oakland plan? Because when the author of 300 looked at Pueblo City, they didn't see a nice, humble, small country town. They saw Oakland. We have the city gave L3 DOS Aviation $2.9 billion. $2.9 million is going to this private company, L3 DOS. L3 DOS. This is just like Fred Weisbrod giving $8 million to the Sperry Corporation. Our city manager about 50 years ago gave them $8 million. They took 6, put it in their pocket, and then they sold the damn company 2 years later. So this is incredible. You're telling me there's no small startups? Anyways, $3 million we could give to the aviation department. We could go ahead and get poster stores and finance poster stores on Union Avenue. But what we cannot do is help with pharmacy or grocery on the east side or the west side or any of these food deserts. And so this is ridiculous. We have the money. There's $60 million sitting in Pedco. We have the money to solve homelessness. We have the money to get ourselves some waste to energy plants. We have money to get us 5 cars. Pueblo City is not Oakland. We need the Portland policing model. We need a restorative justice. We need community policing. We don't need this outside consultant and all this complicated bullshit. There's too many moving parts. $35 million, we could have solved homelessness with that. And that would actually attack the problem at the root. Now, wouldn't it? You got desperate people out there, and desperate people do desperate things. So instead of paying for the jail, $315 million for the jail, and then let's take a look at 2B. That's 24 new cops, 24 new cops for $18 million. So over the next 5 years, we're going to raise $18 million, and then we're going to give 24 new cops. But if you look at the question really carefully, it says, or whatever amounts they want to raise it. So they could raise this thing, as much infinitely every fucking year. It's 18 million now. It might end up being 100 million by the end of this thing. So you're going to give them unlimited funds to get an unlimited amount of cops. That's what 2B is for. But let's $18 million, we could get 6 waste-to-energy plants, so we could get 6 plants. We only need really 1. We don't even have 1. That would be $3 million. But let's get 3 waste-to-energy plants. That's $9 million. We could get 100 solar trees. That's 4.5. 5 contour crafting machines. That's $1 million. That's still less than $18 million. We still could, let's take $1 million and rehab the jail. Let's take, that's plenty of money. So $18 million solves homelessness, we don't get all the homes, but we get the home building machine, we get a bunch of solar trees, and we get waste-to-energy plants. So we would be making money. It'd be an investment that we can get a return on. We won't get a return on any of these police measures. We won't get a return on the jail or 300 or 2B. There is not a profitable return. The idea is supposed to be safety. But I'm not for sure if that's, 300, that's like rosewood. This is going to be like Spanish conquistadors. This is when I first talked to her, she came across something I wrote about Big Daddy Strange, and she just kept typing to me. So I was like, who is this person? I wanted to find out what was the stuff they were made up of. And I had talked about how Ricky Muniz got shot right behind me and how it was, a dangerous neighborhood where I was living in, and you would think that would be like a perfect plug for her 300, but there is no concern at all. It was just, just silence on the opposite end, just absolute silence. And that's worrisome, because is that like the Chieftain, where if it bleeds, it leads, if it's gory, it's a story? That's more of a story for her to get likes. That is my analysis of Jenny Paulson. Her intentions isn't to make this city a better place. It's to get attention. She likes the likes. She wants to get lots of likes. She used to write stories, and she used to get 10,000. There were 2 reasons that I had liked 300 for a while, because of the neighborhood councils. I thought the neighborhood councils would be telling the police what to do, but that's not the case at all. The neighborhood councils are going to be like little snitches to the police. So that's the first thing that is wrong. It's not a complaint and oversight board. It's not a complaint and oversight board. The only oversight is auditing, and it's just going to be like the transportation department, where we pay all the money into personnel, and none of the people don't get anything. So we're going to spend half of this $35 million over 10 years for auditors, and then the other half for the police. So just more personnel. There was one thing that I liked about it, and I'll get to it in a second, but I don't have any faith that it's actually going to be implemented. It's like it's piecemeal. It's almost like, here's this thing, let's throw this thing in, let's throw that thing in. And it just keeps adding all this crazy stuff. The Chieftain did say it's micromanaging to the extreme, which is absolutely. The other reason why I was going to vote for it was because it was a wrecking ball into a system. And so it was essentially because Big Daddy Strange was an illegal ballot question. It's like asking, do you want to get rid of freedom of speech? You want to get rid of freedom of speech? So that's it shouldn't even been put on the ballot. And so now one illegal ballot measure is put on it. Now we got another illegal ballot measure. They'll try to challenge it, but I think what's going to happen is eventually there's going to be some sort of fusion. And so I thought that would be an interesting process to see how 300 became law, even though it's essentially its own, it's almost like its own branch of government. It's almost like a private little small army. And the very same criticism for Big Daddy Strange, we're all going to have to go to Nick Gardasar to say, what the hell is this thing about? And we're going to have to go to Jenny Paulson to ask her, what the hell is this thing about? So it's based on the Oakland model, which is a racist model. Now, there was a beef. So I'm friends with one of the candidates, and then I would say that we were like Facebook friends, but for some reason, like, she keeps her picture offline, so it's like she wants complete privacy, but then she wants all the ability to go after whoever she wants to. Jenny Paulson reminds me of the woman who will talk all the crazy shit to men who like her, but as soon as another woman says, hey, why are you being mean, she'll just start crying. And so that's the reason I think that she had got into this squabble with a former ex-employee. So she's this, for 20 years, she's the boss. She's the main oppressor. And so that's also, Aisha Urine. She's not going to be a good legislator because she's an executive, so she can't work well with others. But she's been a boss for 20 years, so she hires one of the candidates, and then she's like, do this, do that. And it's like, you didn't do that right. You come 5 minutes late. You did that wrong. You did this wrong. And they gathered signatures, and it wasn't about, that she was lying about that. It's just that people had said that she lied. And so people had said that she lied, and that's why people had called her fake news. Now, I know that she has lied by one, specific thing. She said Ray Aguilera is senile. Ray Aguilera is senile. So I'll just talk about this one here, since I have evidence of that, since she is petty. She is petty, and she is retaliatory, and she was saying, you don't know me. No, I do know you. When I told you about Ricky Muniz, I don't think you gave a damn. I don't think you gave two shits about my circumstances. You're trying to say that this is going to be for peace and safety for all the neighborhoods, and then when I tell you about, Ricky Muniz, all he did was say, get away from my house. But then the Jenny Paulson person was like, no, I'm allowed to spray paint your house. Get the fuck over it. She's the oppressor. She's the oppressor. And as the oppressor, she was sitting there telling this employee, do this, do that, and then I've done signatures before. People are assholes. People are shitty, and especially out at Walmart. So it's going to be like, well, she was yelling at people. Well, people are shitty, and so sometimes it would be hard for me to hold my tongue. In fact, it created there's a lot of white people, 50-50, a lot of white people who just are so stuck up they would never sign a petition ever in their lives. It's just beneath them. It's just so beneath them. And so it's hard getting out there. You want to have emotional control and have mood control, and you don't want to, feed into any negative energy that you get. But sometimes it's hard. Somebody just wants to be rude to you, and so you just rude back. So I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me whatsoever. I think she's an oppressor. She used to be a boss, and then eventually this petitioner stood up to her, and now she hates her. She hates her for all time. How dare you? How dare you? I loved you. But only when you was doing what I told you. Paulson said that you're not allowed to criticize anybody with a Spanish last name. You're not allowed to criticize anybody with a Spanish last name. Jenny Paulson said that she wanted this ballot question 300 to be very, very conservative. She doesn't want any hint of any kind of liberal idea being in there. That's why there's no oversight board. That's why it's not restorative justice, and it's not community policing. It doesn't have any philosophy or, overall theory of policing in this thing. There's no spirit to it. It's so piecemeal. It's just, and the fact that she's running towards the conservatives. She's running towards the conservatives. That's why it's an Oakland model. So you can't criticize anybody with the last name. A Hispanic employee was no good to her, and she don't even give a damn what the hell she has to say, no matter what. Whatever they got into an argument, and she just can't forgive them. But the Hispanic employee says that she could forgive her, and that, she could bury the hatchet. Jenny Paulson. What Jenny Paulson is doing is she's exploiting every single tiny piece of crime and acting like it's the worst thing in the fucking world. I'll mention that too. So Pueblo West had that white woman who was a jailer over in Fremont County kill her own daughter, shot and killed her own daughter and shot her dogs. So it was, a horrible tragedy, and what the hell happened. But Jenny Paulson acted like, oh my God, I look at my own kid and I just don't know how that could happen. And so what is it? Is she pretending that she's just all holy and all good and she just can never do any wrong? I think that's bullshit. I think being a person who has always, I think of the dog next door. It's a nice, fluffy, cute little dog. It's mean as fuck and just barks meanly. Now, the male dog, it's ready to defend this, shitty little dog. The shitty little dog wouldn't defend the male dog for anything. The shitty little dog gets all the love. Story with the Pueblo West, Jenny Paulson saying, oh my God, where's the husband at? She's calling out for the husband, saying, we need to get the husband. It's the husband. It's the ex-husband. It's one of him. And so then she found out the police interviewed the husband and let him go. So he wasn't involved. It was a murder-suicide. So when it comes to the man, get the man, get the man, get the man. When it comes up to the woman, well, I just can't believe that. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Why? Because if you're white, you can't commit a crime. If you're a white woman, you can never murder your own kid. That's exactly what that woman in Pueblo West did. She murdered her own kid, and she killed her dogs, and then she killed herself. So a white woman did this. A white woman did this, and it was just unbelievable, unfathomable, because what? White women are always good? I'm not saying they're always bad. Just like any group of people, you're going to have bad and you're going to have good. But to think that one group of people can never do any wrong, In fact, that white woman is probably one of the vicious, worst, wicked. I mean, she shot her own daughter. She killed her own 10-year-old daughter. I remember Jenny Paulson saying that that was ridiculous and that was bullshit. In fact, I've actually heard her say she kept questioning it. You know, we still think it might be the man, right? Of course, because it's always the man. Unless it was a woman, because, you know, can a woman pull a trigger? Can a woman get pissed off and pull a trigger? It only takes 1 second. So, you know, I think it's very capable. I think women are just as capable as men of doing anything. You know, they could be sweet and nice, and they could help, you know, raise gardens, and they can empower people. They could get democracy here, or, you know, they could just be shitty to people. And so in the very beginning, there was this story where, you know, I kind of identified with her, where she said she was being terrorized in the neighborhood. Well, that's what I was kind of explaining to her, but she could not empathize with me. She couldn't empathize with me whatsoever, even though she had almost identical experiences. Now, she had a neighbor, and they terrorized her. The mother, the daughter, the kids, you know, the whole bunch. And why did they terrorize her? If, you know, using my analytical mind, why did this situation happen? Well, I could see little Miss White Rich Girl coming in here with a nice, you know, vehicle, nice house, and then just acting like the entire world revolves around her. And if you know anything about the race riots in Rosewood, the entire American society does revolve around her. She is one of the most powerful people in our society, and I don't know if she recognizes it or not. You know, her demographic, her socio-economic class. But as a white woman in Rosewood, she said that black man raped me, and not only did the town kill that black man, they killed all the black people. They killed 150 black people. So that's what question 300 symbolizes to me, a Rosewood. It's an Oakland model. They're targeting the youth. They're going after the babies, just like the Native American, right? There was a big genocide, but let's get the kids and put them into our schools so we can Christianize them. She's chosen goodness. I don't believe she's chosen goodness. Her Christianity allows her to hate everybody and anybody. Her Christianity allows her to not forgive anybody. She just, you know what, I hate you, and I don't think that you have a right to exist. And I think that's bullshit. I think it's bullshit. So when there was a beef between Jenny Paulson and one of the candidates, she just was not going to forgive. She was just going to keep on hating, and that's who the hell she was. And then she was like acting like she was going to keep on going, and she was like, you don't know me. It's like, well, no, I mean, I guess I don't know you because I thought you was a good person. I thought you was a good person, but you're right, I don't know you. When I first talked to you, you very much struck me as an unempathetic person. Very unempathetic. You didn't give a shit. And Ricky Munoz got shot and killed. He didn't deserve to die. He didn't deserve to die. And I don't know if past the 300 would have saved his life. I don't think it would have, because the spirit isn't there. There is no. Repeat, it's not a complaint and oversight board. At no point in time is there any kind of oversight. There's auditing, but there's no, you can't fire them. There's no place to go to put in a complaint. The neighborhood is not empowered whatsoever. They're only empowered as far as the officer that is appointed will allow them. And so when you read this, it also adds a national consultant, because clearly Pueblo City can't take care of our own issues. We need to get some national consultant like Maggie Lopez did, right? Spend millions of dollars for some outside asshole who pretends to fucking know everything, but they don't know jack shit. Common sense. Just use basic common sense. The policing models, community policing, is that the police goes around the community. You see them, you know them, you see them at softball games. They're part of the community, and that's community policing. They actually know the people that they're supposedly protecting. That's community policing. Restorative justice is more about, you know, putting that person Ubuntu, trying to get that humanity back out of that person. There's a good person in there. Ubuntu, it's got a national consultant. We're going to have to, you know, there's so many fucking moving parts to this thing. Safe Pueblo programs. So they're going to be targeting at-risk youth, targeting young adults, targeting, it's an Oakland model, so targeting the brown and black youth, targeting the brown and black at-risk youth, young adults, most at-need neighborhoods, right? So, and for the augmented funding of specially trained officers, expansion and creation, best evidence-based, right? I'm sure it's the best one. National Consultant, Initial Public Safety Advisory Panel, so that's going to be the main advisory panel that they look over everything or some shit, I don't know. Then it goes on, the ordinance will provide for such programs as school-based education and training programs. Isn't that what we have school for? And then there's research-based services. What kind of services isn't research-based? It seems like, okay, and then initiatives for substance abuse prevention and recovery. Oh, this is a treatment thing? For 100 solar trees, that costs $4.5 million for 100 solar trees. For $1 million, we can get 5 contour crafting machines, and then those can churn out $10,000 houses, so 3,000 houses would be $30 million. And then we could get 3 waste-to-energy plants, just like they got in Grand Junction, for $9 million. And then that's the $44.5 million. And you know what? Let's go ahead and throw another $1 million on it to rehab the jail. So we could rehab the jail. We could solve the homelessness problem. We could invest in a business with returns, plus solving our trash situation, helping with our electric problems, and get some solar trees strewn about. We could do that, or we could just buy 1 jail and then spend $269.5 million more. There's reentry programs for ex-offenders, mentoring programs. Here's the only part that I actually like: recreation centers and facilities. It says programs for at-risk youth, young adults, and their families. So we need to target the at-risk youth, and what do we need to put an armband on them and make sure that we, target them? If we had lots of gyms, if we had recreation centers all over the place, that would be amazing. $35 million over 10 years, we could have done that. We could have had recreation centers all over city of Pueblo, and not just for the at-risk youth, but for the adults. I mean, this is something the Germans did really well, was gymnasiums, your mind, body, spirit, always working out to make sure that you stay healthy. So recreation centers by themselves would be a good idea. But how much of that $35 million you think is going to go to a damn gym? Yeah, right. It'll go to the auditors. It'll go to personnel. It'll go to the police. The gym, the kids will be neglected. So I don't like to say that we need to get more organized than the streets are organized. That's the opposite. I want the streets to be organized. The streets are where the people live. And so if you're against the streets, you're against all city life. And that's nice. Wow, she must still live in a country estate someplace to say that, the city. And that's another thing. She didn't look at Pueblo City as Portland. She didn't say, let's use the Portland model of police and let's use a small town model of police. And she said, let's go to the worst. It's got the violence, and it's, known for the, so she goes to Oakland. Well, how are we going to, as if Pueblo City's Oakland? So it's just $35 million. We could have solved homelessness with $35 million. So you want to solve homelessness? That would reduce crime. If we're serious about reducing crime, why do we keep on getting more cops? Why don't we actually solve the root of the problem? It's poverty, it's homelessness, it's death. Pre-approved programs, youth works programs, youth to learn trades, art and music studio, and street outreach. The question itself is written in bold letters, in all capital letters, so it's yelling at you. You better do this. It's good. Pre-approved programs, I don't understand why that language is put in there. It's all pre-approved because once it passes, then we just have to allow it to go on. Problem-solving officers for community policing. Okay, community policing is mentioned here at the very bottom, and it only says that there's 3 substations, and they will be the problem-solving officers. Well, which is it? Is it problem-solving officers, or is it community policing? So it's like she's just throwing shit in there. It doesn't even, there's no consistency to this thing. Meeting at least quarterly with grant-based neighborhood councils, grant-based, so we have to find grants. Who are these neighborhood councils? I asked her, how do I get a part of this neighborhood council? She says, I'll tell you later. Bullshit. Tell me now, and if you can't tell me now, then you don't really. They saw Oakland. There's only 2% black people here. So this is very much feels like a racist plan. It's a racist plan. It's targeting your youth, and it's going after, it's not any oversight. It's not neighbors over the police. It's still the police going to be over the neighborhood. So it's going to try to turn everybody into a bunch of snitches, divide and conquer, everybody be turned against each other. Best reason I'm against it, because, I'm not one of her friends from before, so I would be one of the people that she supposedly cares about that wants to be protected and saved, and she doesn't want me to be protected and saved. In fact, she very much, she showed me her real side. You don't know me, right? Okay, so before I thought you were just some petty little psycho that might just, who didn't give a damn about Ricky Munez and who doesn't give a damn about my life. Now I think, oh, you're just a petty person who doesn't give a damn about Ricky and he doesn't give a damn about my life. So, I only thought you might have been good. So you're right, I didn't know you. You're not good. You haven't chose goodness. You say you're Christian, but you don't forgive. You have lots of hate inside of you. And so this isn't, this isn't Christian. This isn't the Christianity. She's a Baptist, so she's probably, spoiled the rod, spare the child, right, to beat the shit out of your kids. That's the biggest problem right there. 80%, are beating kids. So why don't you stop beating fucking kids? That's where violence. Beat your kids. You're sitting there saying that violence is okay, violence is acceptable, and you're also telling them to accept the violence. And then when they have no say-so, no power, they can't convince, Big Mama or Big Daddy, who's always all about violence, then they just spread that shit all over the place, because hierarchy destroys all relationships. Hierarchy destroys all relationships. So because you have Big Mama who wants to beat the shit out of everybody, we're all supposed to kiss her ass and act like she's, so wonderful and so great. No, you're a psycho, and you hit, your loved ones. You've never given a damn. Maybe you've been so afraid that you feel like you need 100% power, but by you having 100% power, that means nobody else gets any power. So this is about her getting attention. This is about her getting a bunch of likes. This is about her, being popular. $35 fucking million, $35 fucking million. When she says Ray Aguilera is senile, he's not senile. She could be sued for that, right? Going around sitting there saying that their mental health is what he's incapacitated. He's a vegetable. No, he functions. Neighborhood councils, the only thing here is 5 officers are going to be trained, and then the proposal. So I don't even know when these neighborhoods and these officers even get together, if they're supposed to get together. This seems like so fucking complicated. This is more complicated than the Big Daddy Strange. So what the hell is this shit? Okay, we passed 300, Jenny. What the fuck is it now? Now we're going to ask Jenny to put this and put it together with the charter, and they're going to sit there and try to say that, it's illegal. So all they're going to do is try to take pieces of this and put it into the system if it passes. And maybe that might be good, maybe not. They might take the gyms and, okay, we'll just spend it on gyms, and we're not going to put any more personnel out there. Okay, we'll just do the 24 cops. And then that other question says, they can raise taxes at any point. So that's no good, all right? You want the small tax that we could raise it unlimited later on? So it starts out as a half cent, and then it'll be 100%, just give us all your money. So the 2B at 300 would be the only thing that would be opposed to the 24 police, but we have the money, right? Mark Aliff is against all these measures because we have the money. And like I said before, they're just, both of them are really, really bad. They're really, really shitty. This proposed coordinated system, minuscule 1 cent, quarter of 1 cent, which will raise $3.5 million. And yeah, it's going to be so wonderful, so great. It's not going to be wonderful. It's not going to be great. You just look at the policy itself. The policy itself doesn't have an overall spirit. It doesn't have an overall structure. It's not for democracy. It's not for the people having the power. It's for the cops to have more power over the people, and that very well could be the problem. Cops should be our partners. Cops should be our partners. Do you want me to be safe too? Because I don't go around hurting anybody. I don't steal. I don't, rob. I don't hit. I don't hurt people. If I can't help you, I'm not going to hurt you. So I'll just, just keep on walking. But it's not out of meanness. 3 people from city council who actually got booted off a city council. And they were Spanish last names. So to say that, that we can't criticize anybody with a Spanish last name, nobody wants to be criticized. So I don't even think, that's just, I think it's bullshit. It's bullshit. I mean, people have been criticizing everybody. So it just, that just tells me it's like she feels like she can't criticize the Hispanics. And I feel like I can't criticize them without them getting mad. Everybody's going to get mad if you criticize them. So do you think you could just go be shitty to anybody, criticize anybody that you want to? Meanwhile, criticize her and she turns into a psycho. How dare you? You're not questioning me? So in the very beginning, when I was sitting there trying, I felt for her when she was being terrorized by these neighbors, and that's a very shitty situation. But I feel like she's still kind of stuck in that spot. Lots have changed already, so I think you could show. It doesn't include anybody new, nobody new, so that means it's only the people that Jenny knows. We're only going to empower Jenny and her little circle of friends. This isn't good for the overall community. It's not good for Pueblo City. This is only good for Jenny Paulson and her little circle of friends. So I don't see crime going down. What I see is it being another conquistador, Spanish conquistador. It's Oakland model. They're targeting your children, and that's, what are they going to base that upon? Whether or not you've committed a crime or if you look like you committed a crime by the way you dress? How are they going to determine who are these so-called at-risk? Are they going to get with the school system, those authoritarian fucks? And then they'll be like, well, that little Billy doesn't like listening when I bitch at him like this all day, and he just don't like it. He's so rude. Who the fuck would like that? So you're going to get these institutions to go against the people? The institutions should be working in tandem with people, and if they're not, then we should get rid of the institutions themselves. Jenny Paulson to be an oppressor, an unapologetic oppressor, She tells me, oh, I can't wait to get you and Josh Bruns to pass out all these flyers everywhere. That's all she wants. She wants men who are excited about her to do her work. She wants power over men so she could go tell her girlfriends, because that's who you really respect, right? To get the respect of a woman, who gives a shit? Men, probably fall for her all the time, but to get a respect of a woman, what women are in her life? What women is she trying to show off to? Look at this. I got that man and that man and that man, and they're all doing what I say. I trained those men, those stupid men. I handled and trained those men, didn't I? Really good, didn't I, Sally? Yeah, you're so cool. We really handled our men, Maybe that's the problem. To handle men, you're destroying their humanity. You can't love people for who they actually are as God made them. You can't fighting for this to be conservative. She doesn't want any hint of liberalism whatsoever, but to actually change the community policing, to have criminal justice reform. That's what we need, criminal justice reform. We need to cure the homeless. We could take that $35 million and we could cure the homeless with contour crafting machines, and we could produce 3,000 houses for $30 million bucks. So do you want 3 houses? You want to solve the homelessness problem, or do you want this spruce goose, this boondoggle, this big old monstrosity, this crazy, bullshit, crazy bullshit? You're going to give $35 million over 10 years to Jenny Paulson because she just loves this community so damn much? Well, the thing about her neighbor, the thing she never got about her neighbor was she never actually asked the question, why? Why were they mean to her? So she comes in, she looks rich, and she looks proper, and all of society protects her. Why did they, I bet she probably didn't do anything to them specifically. They just kind of, when you're miserable, when you're hurting, when you're struggling, and you see people just kind of, whistling while they work and skipping, it's kind of like, why the fuck do you get such a nice, happy, positive life, and I got to live in this miserable shithole? There was a family there, and she said that the kids a lot of times would talk to her and just be like, we don't even know why we're supposed to hate you. And it was an abusive household, and it's still going on. So right now, that daughter, everybody forgot about that daughter. That daughter is getting her ass kicked by those parents. Those parents were abusive and psychotic, and they were showing their abusive psychosis to Jenny Paulson. So she just felt like a victim from all of them. But look at that situation. I bet there's poverty there. I bet there's mental illness. I bet there's drug use. And then there's violence. And that a Baptist thing, spoil the rod, spoil the child, spare the rod, spoil the child. You're supposed to beat the shit out of your kids, right? You know who else is Christian? The Ku Klux Klan. I see as the kids who are doing this stuff, they were doing it to get the love of their parents. So they're being shitty to Jenny. They're the victims. These kids are the victims. The only way that those kids could be saved is if there's an intervention, a true blue intervention, one of love, a restorative justice kind of intervention. And it has to be a major one, because I think that daughter needs to be taken away from that parent. That parent is abusive, and she's mean, and she's psychotic, and she's teaching her daughter to be mean and abusive and psychotic. And then when that daughter goes around committing crimes, nobody's going to lose any sleep over throwing her in jail, because who gives a damn about her? But that daughter, just like every person in jail, was somebody's baby boy or baby girl at one point in their lives. So we're just going to discard people. We're just going to throw people away as if they're nothing. So if you looked at that situation, she never asked why were they doing that she's good and pure and they're evil. Well, if that's the case, is every person with brown skin, she runs to the right with the way that she runs to being conservative, with how she used the Oakland model, how she criticizes Ray Aguilera and the Hispanic worker that she had, how she says that you're not allowed to criticize the Hispanic people in this neighborhood. These are all racialist kind of things. Is it true? I don't know. I mean, nobody likes to be criticized. Is that a rule, though? You can't we got 3 people off city council was recalled, and I'm pretty sure some of them have Spanish last names. So it just that just seems like if you feel like you can't criticize them, that's Voltaire says you go for the ones that you don't feel like you could criticize. And, I personally don't really feel like I could criticize Jenny, but I feel like I need to, because somebody needs to sound the alarms. Somebody needs to actually give a nice, analysis of this thing and say this is what this thing is about. And it's Oakland, and it's going to be Rosewood. Now, if Jenny Paulson spoke out, and I also never heard Jenny Paulson speak out against racism. Never. I've never heard her say that's important. It's because of Rosewood. A white woman can lie and say that black man did this to me, and that black man's going to get it, and maybe his entire community, because of a lie from a white woman. So, wait, I thought white women are good and pure and can never do any wrong. They can lie? No, they can't lie. White women are beyond lying. I think everybody is capable of any good and evil. Anybody is capable of good and evil at any moment. So you could go be nice to somebody, or you could flip that person off. It's the same moment, you know. And so ultimately, what do? Do you feed the good wolf or do you feed the bad wolf? And have you chose goodness? So I don't know if she's chosen goodness. I would say she has not. I think that she just says, I'm a Christian, so therefore I'm a Christian, and I'm a white woman, so therefore I'm just good. Nope, that's not good enough for me at all. That's horseshit. It means you're brainwashed and you're privileged. And going after one of the sort of long shot candidates. It means she doesn't mind punching down. She doesn't realize, you know, that there are some interests that are more powerful and some of the that are less powerful. It'd be like Aisha Jiren. Aisha Jiren's a filthy fucking rich, and she's just shitting on homeless people. Aisha Jiren don't give a flying fuck about the homeless people. She wants only 8 licenses just to give out to her friends. We should have 100, 1,000 licenses, marijuana licenses. Why limit it to just the 8? That's bullshit. So only those 8 motherfuckers get, you know, to sell it all. Only Aisha Jiren gets to be filthy fucking rich. She gets all that goddamn money, and then she turns right around and shits on the homeless. You know, instead of taking care of the homeless, she just wants to sweep them on down, you know, into another city. So what are you going to do? Aisha Jiren, you got some people drowning outside of your yacht. Aisha Jiren's going to be popping them. She's not going to save them. She's going to let them drown and die. And if it looks like they're climbing on their boat, she'll push them off. The Sand Creek Massacre that happened right here, 100, you know, something people, 165 people were killed. Sand Creek Massacre. And what was their crime? The color of their skin. So Rosewood, what was their crime? The color of their skin. And because of white men believing in the purity of a white woman as if she could do no wrong. She's beautiful. You love her because she's pretty. That doesn't indicate anything else, okay? That says nothing else. In fact, it very, you know, just like this neighbor's dog is a shithead. And it probably is miserable to always be mean, to always be yelling, to always be so shitty all fucking day long. That poor dog is fucking miserable, but it yaps and it barks and it brings bad energy all throughout the neighborhood. So it's loved, but it doesn't love. It takes all the love. It doesn't share that love at all. So that's why I like Carrie Kennedy. Carrie Kennedy, she's running for governor. She speaks out against racism. Women, and you know, white women, you know, the whole thing is centered around you. White womanhood. That's the KKK. That's white supremacists. They're all defending their pure white women. They don't want these blacks and these Hispanics touching their white women. So that's where it comes from. So who's to blame? I don't know. Maybe the man, maybe the woman. The man is, you know, basically a racist piece of shit, and he's using his excuse of defending her as a reason to be a racist piece of shit. She probably feels like he loves me and he's going around protecting me, but really just using it as an excuse. Now, if a white woman, instead of accepting that bullshit, spoke out against it, so the society still is centered around the white woman, but now this same white woman who's good and pure and wholesome is actually speaking the truth and is actually good, pure, and wholesome, and they're speaking out against racism because racism is bullshit. 2007 fucking teen, right? MLK got shot for saying we should judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin, for obvious common sense shit. That's why I give a shout out to all the white women that speak out against racism. If you're a white woman and you speak out against racism, you're essentially taking that privilege that this, you know, white racist culture had put upon you, and you probably still get to keep that privilege. Now, there might be some people that will hate you speaking out, but I would say the majority, especially if you're good, racism is dumb. So for a white woman to speak out against racism when her white womanhood is protected, well, her white womanhood will still be protected, but now it'll be her anti-racist views that'll be protected. MLK said we have the giant triplets of militarism and consumerism or poverty or some economic thing, and then racism. So militarism, money, and then racism. Those are the 3 giant triplets in the United States that needed to be attacked, and it needs to be attacked across the board. Whites, Hispanics, and blacks, everybody stop being racist. I don't even like those color designations anymore. We are so many different colors. I've never seen a white or black person in my life. It is hyperbole to say that Question 300 will end life on this planet as we know it, but it will fundamentally completely change Pueblo City. It'll change the culture of the police, and that'll change all Pueblo City. And what will it do? It'll embolden the police. It's not a complaint and oversight board. It's Jenny Paulson's police friends. And so if you only give a shit just about some people, some people say, like, I believe in that issue because I know the person. Well, that's corruption. Are you going to be a candidate for all the people, or are you just going to be a candidate for just your buddies? Because if you're just going to be a candidate for just your buddies, well, that's no good. We want somebody that gives a damn about the entire city. So my analysis of this 300, she doesn't give a shit about the city. She doesn't give a shit about the people. She gives a shit about her vanity. She cares about getting likes, and she wants to be popular. She has absolutely no plans whatsoever to keeping the neighborhood safe. This is an Oakland model, so it very well could be a racist thing. So we've seen what the Spanish conquistadors could do, and that could happen again. I'm not saying that all the Hispanics will be genocide. I'm not saying that it's going to turn into another Rosewood where all the white people just wipe out the darker skin colors. But then again, I can't say that it doesn't, okay? So I can't say for certainly that it will, but I can say that it's got lots of racist elements to it. The Oakland model of policing. Is that the problem? Just a bunch of crazy black people around here? We only got 2% black people. So it's not the blacks that this 300 is targeting. It's the Hispanic people. So that seems so clear to me that I'm just going to go with my gut on that one. And then knowing the author, knowing the things that the author has said, that she has to, attack other candidates, Hispanic candidates, who she criticizes. Ray Aguilera, says that he's senile. And the reason why she does that is she wants to lie to people to get them on her side, because if you like her, then she could control you. So that's just like that Haitian psychopath. So if you get people to like you, then you can mention. One other part about this, 5 officers to specialize in violence and crime reduction. They had the exact same thing in Louisville. It's called the Viper Squad. And what the Viper Squad does is they say that they're going to reduce violence, and it's a gun grabbing thing. So, but really, they're just they're above the law. They go around attacking anybody and everybody, and it doesn't matter who the fuck they attack. They get away with it all. So almost this kind of gives immunity to the police. So you want immunity to the police? Well, vote for the strong mayor, vote for 300. Then the police will get to do as the fuck as they please. I want to live in a nation of laws, and I believe in the rule of law, because in a democracy, that's the rule of law. Nobody is above the law. We don't have kings. We don't just kiss people's ass. We have rules that we all live by. Nobody could shoot anybody. Nobody could rape anybody. Nobody could rob anybody, and that goes to for the police too. 300 gives them greater immunity, at least those 5 people. That'll be a Viper Squad. That'll just be like Vic Mackey from The Shield. So because Jenny Paulson doesn't mind punching down, she doesn't mind criticizing the poor and the homeless and the struggling classes. She doesn't mind attacking, the fact that she can't tell the difference between good people and bad people, the fact she hasn't, chosen goodness, and the fact that this is conservative. Everything is that, we don't want this thing to be liberal. And her idea is to get it passed because she thinks that this is a conservative town, or is this a progressive town? She says out loud it's a progressive town, but Democrats voted for Hillary. She's a conservative, so even the Democrats are conservative. But if she's sitting there thinking that, the entire town is progressive, then why in the fuck do you want Question 300 to be conservative? It is so important for Jenny Paulson to make sure that it's conservative, to appeal to a white supremacist base who would like the Oakland model, who has, protect the Confederate flag, Nazi-waving sons of bitches, and, there's bad in all groups. I felt like her, feelings, since she had this horrible thing where the neighbors were fucking with her, and then the cops were corrupt, and so none of them were actually protecting her. They were listening to what they were saying, and so she just kept on getting all these, tickets and charges and shit. And nobody was doing anything about it. Nobody was stopping these people from harassing her. So it was like, God, that would be wonderful to have some privileged white woman know what it feels like, because that shit happens all the time. I asked her, would she know that shit happens all the time if it didn't happen to her here? And she's like, no, God, cops have always been great to me. And so, this could have been a very wonderful opportunity. This could have been a progressive thing. If she would have been like, this is a progressive thing, we're going to progress. The Charter Convention was Republican progressives, and 1954, those were progressives too. Progress, to move forward. So the fact that she's running away from anything progressive and running to the right, I think that without a doubt the Oakland model was chosen for race, and she's a conservative. Fuck the oppressors. The only reason why, oppressors do what they do, because coercion works. When they get in your face, when they intimidate, when they yell at you, That's what question 300 is going to be, nothing but intimidation, nothing but violence and intimidation. They're not going to include you. You're not part of the neighborhood councils. Fuck you. You're not a part of it. If you're not part of Jenny's circle, then you're going to get fucked with. Only her and her people. Even of here. She's not even from here. So talk about a Spanish conquistador, right? Comes from out of town, comes in, says, let's target all these damn Hispanic youths. These Hispanic youths are out of hand. We need to get a plan to just target just the Hispanic youth. Just go into these target neighborhoods. There's rough white neighborhoods too. So, you know, this is unfortunate. This could be a very good progressive thing if there was community policing, if there was restorative justice. I know she wrote it in there, but it was like on, you know, paragraph 6, and it was right after it said that it was a problem-solving officer. So is he a community policing officer or a problem-solving officer? Or is he both and he's everything and anything that we could ever wonder? Or he's just a dreamland? This is Candyland, right? I'm Jenny. Nothing I could do could ever be bad and wrong. I'm so good. You're not good. You're not a good person, and I think you're petty, and I think you're capable of just as much evil as Charles Manson. Once thought of her as like an angel, right? But then you have that one song where it's like, you look at me like I'm an angel. But Meredith something, but really I'm, you know, and so she's not the angel. I'm the angel, and I projected myself onto her. I projected myself onto her, and I was like, you know, tried to say, well, angel comes to hell, what should happen? You know, change hell. And then we got to a place where it was like, let's create a happy valley. But she didn't look at Pueblo City and said, let's make this a happy valley. She looked at Pueblo City and said, let's make this Oakland. I want to make it Happy Valley. And so that was me projecting on her. So she's not the angel. I am. And so what I want is for people to get along. I don't want to discard people. I don't want to throw people away. And I want a good system, right? So I think her safety is black people's danger. So everybody should be safe. Add on to that white womanhood thing. So because white womanhood is what white supremacists are protecting, when white woman says, let's not be racist, let's judge people by the content of their character, they all of a sudden they did become moral. They're actually choosing the righteous cause. They're choosing the right thing. So truth, honesty, justice, these are the good things. So by saying, you know, let's not be racist, judge people by the content of their character, not just the color of their skin. So white womanhood, who the entire white society is surrounded, when she becomes anti-racist, she'll have, you know, the good white men will already be on her side, but she also could convince some of the shitty white men too, and white women. So because she's speaking out against racism, so I think because, you know, the man's going to protect the woman. And so if white woman, you know, she's good, but she let black men get killed in Rosewood. Is she good, honest, and pure? White woman killed her own daughter in Pueblo West. Is she good, honest, and pure? Or is there something really... For 100 solar trees, that costs $4.5 million for 100 solar trees. For $1 million, we can get 5 contour crafting machines, and then those can turn out $10,000 houses. So 3,000 houses would be $30 million. And then we could get 3 waste-to-energy plants, just like they got in Grand Junction, for $9 million. And then that's the $44.5 million. And you know what? Let's go ahead and throw another $1 million on it to rehab the jail. So we could rehab the jail. We could solve the homelessness problem. We could invest in a business with returns, plus solving our trash situation, helping with our electric problems, and get some solar trees strewn about. We could do that, or we could just buy one jail and then spend $269.5 million more.